I have allergies, and it's not just me. More than 2 billion people around the world have some type of allergy, and that number just keeps growing. In the last 30 years, things have gotten a lot worse. Over 300 million people have asthma, 250 million deal with food allergies, 400 million suffer from rhinitis, and 25% of the population has had some allergic reaction to medications. And according to the WHO, by 2050, half of the world will be allergic to something.
Hey, Pedro here. This video you are watching was originally in Portuguese, my native language. This is the attempt of our team to translate it to English, and I sincerely hope you enjoy it. Your feedback is extremely important to us. Now, back to the video.
But what's going on? Why does it seem like everyone is becoming allergic? Before I answer that, I need to make it clear what exactly an allergy is. An allergy is an overreaction of the immune system to something that isn't actually dangerous to the body. An allergic reaction can happen because of a substance in food, something in the air, or a medication. A food allergy, for example, can trigger really severe symptoms because of a food that is actually harmless to the body. Uncontaminated food isn't harmful, but the immune system might see something harmless, like a peanut or a flower, and think, it's a threat. And then the show starts, or the allergic reaction. Itching, redness, and sometimes even shortness of breath. But guess what? The problem isn't the peanut or the flower. The problem is your body, which is out of control. But why is the number of allergies increasing? One possible answer is the so-called hygiene hypothesis. This hypothesis says that because of urbanization and industrialization, we've become more hygienic and therefore more allergic. We've gotten so clean that our immune system got bored and started reacting to anything. It's like your immune system is thinking, hey, where are those old bacteria I used to fight with? I think I'm gonna pick a fight with this pollen here. Today, most of the population lives in cities where there's treated water, no contact with animals, and industrialization has brought food decontamination processes. Okay, but why exactly would that be a problem? Hygiene is great for avoiding infectious diseases, but it also means we're less exposed to bacteria that could teach our immune system not to overreact. Most bacteria don't cause diseases, and we can actually have a good relationship with them. In fact, studies show that kids who grow up in rural environments with more exposure to dirt and bacteria are less likely to develop allergies. Even though the hygiene hypothesis might seem a bit strange, there are several published studies trying to show how excessive hygiene could be one of the causes of allergies. The concept of the hygiene hypothesis started emerging from observations made in the 1960s and 70s, which showed differences in the number of asthma and allergic rhinitis cases between urban and rural populations, suggesting that city hygiene prevented bacterial infections in childhood that could protect against allergic diseases. This led to a re-evaluation of the role of the environment in allergies, highlighting the importance of early exposure to microorganisms in regulating the immune system and preventing allergies. Subsequent studies confirmed the idea that a rich microbial environment is crucial for the development of a healthy immune system. The father of the hygiene hypothesis, English Dr. David Strachan, published a study in 1989 that showed British children from large families were less likely to develop allergic rhinitis. The study suggested that kids are less likely to develop allergies because, in these large families, the younger children are exposed early on to some mild infections by being around their older siblings. The immune system of the younger siblings was educated by the infections they caught from their older siblings. The immune system can have various types of immune responses. Type 1 immune response is the immune response responsible for dealing with bacterial and viral infections we have in childhood. And the type 2 immune response is the one responsible for allergies. The hygiene hypothesis suggests that type 1 and type 2 responses are mutually exclusive. If the immune system gets used to having type 1 responses in childhood, it's less likely to have type 2 responses. In other words, having contact with viruses and bacteria can reduce the chance of allergies by strengthening type 1 responses and, in turn, discouraging allergic responses by the immune system. But of course, the immune system isn't that perfect. Type 1 and type 2 responses can end up happening simultaneously. And it's important to say here, it's not by exposing young children to infections that we're necessarily going to reduce the likelihood of them developing allergies. Because infections can have complications, and that's a very risky way to train your immune system. Anyway, one discussion that the hygiene hypothesis brings up is that too much hygiene interferes with our contact with microorganisms that could colonize our bodies and form our microbiota, which used to be called flora. And the microbiota plays a crucial role in educating our immune system. Our body is full of microorganisms, which together form the microbiota, living in our gut, on our skin, in our mouth, and in other parts of our body. For example, did you know that there are more microorganisms in your body than human cells? Besides helping with some biochemical functions like the production of substances and digestion itself, your microbiota is a community of microorganisms that interacts with your immune system. This microbiota helps educate the immune system, making it more tolerant. It's like the immune system cells think that microbiota over there is my neighborhood. Even if I don't like these folks, I'm kind of going to put up with them. And then, by putting up with these microorganisms, the immune system becomes more tolerant and doesn't overreact. When we have a healthy microbiota, our immune system reacts less to harmless substances. In other words, a healthy microbiota coexists with the immune system and teaches it not to react dramatically to harmless substances, like in the case of allergic reactions. Even though the hygiene hypothesis might explain the apparent increase in allergy cases, it's not a general explanation for every type of allergy. Some people grow up in the countryside playing in the dirt and still develop allergies. And then there are those who grow up in a bubble of cleanliness and never sneeze in their life. Various genetic and environmental factors can cause allergies. The tendency to develop allergies is influenced by the inheritance of various genes. And because of the genetic inheritance of allergies, it's common to see several members of the same family with allergies. Allergic rhinitis, asthma, and atopic dermatitis are allergies that can exist in varying degrees and at different times among members of the same family. The diversity of allergy cases implies different causes for these different allergies. In allergic rhinitis and asthma, for example, allergic reactions can be caused by exposure to allergens present in the air or household dust. In food allergies, the allergenic substances are usually proteins found in foods. In atopic dermatitis, physical contact with allergens can trigger reactions. What these allergies have in common is that immune reactions increase the release of a substance called histamine. That's why, to treat allergies, we use antihistamines. Histamine, which is released in various types of allergies, can cause that characteristic redness and itching. But that's not all. Substances like histamine are responsible for the infamous anaphylactic shock, which can even be fatal. Even though immune reactions are similar across different types of allergies, the reason someone becomes allergic isn't the same for everyone. The fact is that today, the most accepted factors as causes of allergies include genetic inheritance and various environmental factors. Contact with microorganisms early in childhood and the training that the microbiota provides to the immune system are factors that influence allergy prevention. But there are still many other environmental factors involved. Besides the genes that predispose to allergies, exposure to allergenic substances in the environment promotes the development and worsening of allergies. Now that we better understand the hygiene hypothesis and the other factors behind allergies, we can finally answer the question, are allergies really increasing? Yes. The world is becoming more allergic. So, does the hygiene hypothesis explain this increase in the number of allergies? Maybe partly. We can't necessarily say that these factors are causing the increase in the number of allergy cases. There's also a concern that we're living in a time of overdiagnosis, especially when it comes to food allergies. And sometimes this overdiagnosis is making you get diagnosed with an allergy when you're not actually allergic. So, please don't avoid taking a shower to try to reduce your allergies. Keeping basic hygiene won't harm anyone. What we can do is try to reduce exposure to the factors that trigger allergies. Of course, a person can have habits that reduce the chances of developing allergies. These habits should be introduced right at the beginning of life, from birth. Strengthening the healthy composition of the microbiota, for example, by encouraging natural childbirth, or exclusive breastfeeding at least until 6 months of age. And it doesn't stop there. Living in big cities exposes us to air pollution, and that's a trigger for allergies. So, living in a small town can be beneficial for a child. Keeping a balanced diet with a variety of nutrients and fibers will also help maintain a healthy microbiota. And then there are the factors associated with climate change, like low air humidity, wildfires, and extreme temperatures that can make us more vulnerable to allergies. Unfortunately, the effects of climate change don't just depend on us avoiding them. At least not in that sense. So, we have to try to mitigate these effects with collective actions. One really cool thing is that the hygiene hypothesis helps us understand that, despite its limitations in explaining the increase in allergy cases, we can't ignore that it helps us understand some factors involved in allergies. And it can also serve as a little push to let kids, from an early age, discover the world by playing outside, seeing the world with their own eyes and hands, having contact with animals, and educating their immune system thanks to the microbiota. And not just kids, you can play in the mud or run in the dirt too, it's really fun. After all, the immune system also needs a little fun to work well. Thank you very much and see you next time.